Okay, I'd like to call the Site Plan Review Committee to order for Tuesday, July 15, 2025. Roll call, please.
Eric Kadowski,
Here.
Dennis Persick.
Here.
Dale Quinn,
Here.
Dan Pamprin.
Here.
Terry Bethburn.
Here.
And Krowski and Paul are excused.
Please stand for the pledge. And please remember our men and women throughout the world in uniform. I have no changes to the agenda. I need a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion carried. Number 5, action on the minutes of the July 1, 2025 Site Plan Review meeting.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion by Dan, second by Carrie to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion carried. Number 6, items for discussion and possible action. 6A, consider, discuss, act on a site plan review request for DBat baseball training at 1601 West Main Avenue, parcel VA-882-1. Aaron.
All right, thank you. I'll share my screen and bring up the site plan. Okay, there we go. Oh, wrong one. Awesome. All right, need to load that back up again. Okay, there we go. All right, the requested site plan review is for a new building. It'll be fronted on Layden Drive with West Main Avenue to the north. As you see here on screen, this is a currently vacant lot that was part of the former Ameriprise building off of Packerland Drive in the business park. As you can see, the proposed building itself, zoom in, a little over 13,000 square feet, parking lot in front, additional parking with cross parking access easements to the south to the existing parking lot. Building itself, and then just slide, continue down. Exterior materials that you see here does include the minimum 3-foot masonry wainscot with some additional architectural detail with the masonry, smooth architectural metal wall panels with fully concealed fasteners. Under the code, when you have indoor athletic facilities within the business park, there are certain criteria that do need to be met under the code. The staff report does identify how the proposed baseball training facility does meet those criteria, primarily due to the need for high ceilings for such a facility. In terms of recommended conditions of approval, use of fully concealed fasteners for exterior wall panels, screen any rooftop or ground mounted mechanical units visible from the property boundaries or public right-of-way, submittal of a lighting plan for review and approval by the Community Development Department, locate ADA parking space on the shortest accessible route of travel from the adjacent parking to an accessible building entrance, meet all applicable requirements of the Ashwaubenon site plan review and all other applicable village ordinances. From engineering, evaluate installing the sanitary lateral with the new water lateral on Layden Drive as opposed to West Main Avenue. Village engineer has been in contact with Robert E. Lee and Associates, the engineering firm on the project. They've been going back and forth, working through some alternatives on that. Stormwater management, as disturbance is less than 1 acre of land in proximity to the airport, the bioretention facility is not required. Again, if there is to be more development on this property, whereby the totality of the disturbance exceeds 1 acre, then stormwater management will be required at that time. No comment from public safety. From forestry, submittal of a landscape plan with planting schedule for review and approval by the village forester. That was submitted. Village forester is still reviewing it, hasn't formally approved it yet. From Bike and Ped, recommendation is to, they do identify bicycle parking near the entrance. Recommendation is to have bicycle parking meeting the standards of the Association of Pedestrian Bicycle Professionals. So again, as a recommendation, that's just a best practice for the developer to consider. It's not something that we require under our code, but is a best practice. Just keep in mind. More of a heads up to the development team. If you have any questions regarding the project, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, we do have a representative from Robert E. Lee in the audience as well.
Does anybody have any questions? None. Anybody want to make a motion?
Move to approve with conditions.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve with staff
what, 3
conditions.
pages?
Any other comments, conditions, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 6B, consider, discuss, act on a site plan review request for the Station 433 condominium building at 433 Aldon Circle, parcel VA-1556. Aaron?
All right, I'll share my screen again. Hopefully Adobe cooperates with me. There we go. All right. These are the exterior renderings of the proposed condominium building called Station 433 at Aldon Station. It's not going to cooperate with me. Bear with me. All right, we'll start with the site plan. The site plan, this is for Station 433 condominium development by Redo Homes. This would be located immediately to the west of the current Station 417 condominium building, located on the Fox River and Ashwaubenon Creek, across the creek from Ashwaubenon Park, or Ashwaubenon Park. As you can see here, the project itself is located, again, on the south side of Aldon Circle. In terms of parking, there is parking at grade right here in front, as well as basically a podium style parking at grade with the residential units above them. It should be noted that there are environmentally sensitive areas and floodplain on this property that will be taken into account throughout the development process, including the floodplain flood elevation of 587.7 feet. The first floor elevation is well above the flood elevation, so it won't be an issue. Just make sure you're going to maintain that grade throughout the process. In terms of exterior materials, it's a mixture of brick, vertical siding, lap siding, and window door systems. I should note that in the staff report, it does mention that there will be pre-finished aluminum balcony systems with glass panels. That's actually going to be balconies with vertical cable systems. They found that the glass panels tend to get dirty when it rains and they're tough to keep clean. So going with the cable system for this new one at Station 433. Exterior lighting is limited to that necessary for the emergency egress. I'll try to find the renderings again. Hopefully they come up. There we go. So you can see the roof lines and architecture is similar to what currently exists at Aldon Station, so it's complementary to what is there. There are a total of, I believe, 19 units, 19 total units on floors 2 through 4, with again the first floor being the podium parking that you see here with the garage access right here. And just the other elevations of the project that you see here. In terms of recommended conditions of approval, as the building is greater than 50 feet tall and with the airport zoning district C, applicant must obtain an application for height permit and approval from the FAA and Green Bay Austin Straubel Airport Director. Screen any new rooftop or ground-mounted mechanical units and generator visible from the property boundaries or public right-of-way. Identify at least one van-accessible ADA parking space and one standard ADA parking space within the interior parking at the shortest accessible route of travel from an accessible building entrance. Move the westerly parcel VA 1556 parcel line further west to maintain minimum 16-foot side yard setback for the condominium building. No grading, filling, cutting, or stockpiling of soil within the flood fringe or ESA. Install a silt fence to denote the northernmost flood fringe or ESA boundary. Catch-all, meet all applicable requirements of the Ashwaubenon Site Plan Review Ordinance and all the applicable village ordinances. From engineering, install and maintain proper erosion control during construction and until landscaping is established. No comments from public safety. From forestry, approval of the landscape plan by the village forester, and there were no comments from bike and pet. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, we do have the development team from Redo Homes in the audience as well.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns?
So I have a question, Ryan.
Right.
So do you have a plan for the access property? Because it looks like there's an easement that makes that a little smaller lot.
Are you talking about on the, would be the west side?
Right here on the west side, yeah.
As far as access?
East side, I think.
It's east side.
Well, let me get this.
Yeah, okay, east side.
Right,
Yep.
there's like an easement that looks like across here, and that makes that.
Correct. We're connecting to the other parking lot in Station 417, essentially to get in so that traffic has to flow through there, and then the fire lane actually goes out through the front of the other building, if that's what you're asking.
No. I guess. Where the trail is, see this lot?
Yep.
Sorry. That lot. This here.
Yep.
So, are we gonna move this trail?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Cause it just looked like all of a sudden we got a small
Yeah,
lot there.
this is gonna take some lot line adjustment because the building is actually longer than what fits within that, so they were move it over and then move the trail with it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, Allison should answer.
Proposed agreement with there is room for the trail.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, does anybody want to make a motion
I'll make a motion to approve with
with
conditions.
staff conditions? Do we have a second?
Sorry.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve with staff conditions. Any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ryan.
Okay, 6C, consider, discuss, act on a site plan review request for a resubmitted Biggby Coffee Drive-Thru Kiosk at the northwest corner of West Main Avenue and Spirit Way, parcel VA-L367-7. Aaron.
All right, I'll share my screen again and hope it works. So far, so good. All right, so this is a resubmitted site plan for Biggby Coffee located at the intersection, northwest intersection of Spirit Way and West Main Avenue. You'll note that West Main Avenue is County Highway GF. The initial site plan did indicate access to Biggby Coffee from West Main Avenue. That access was ultimately not approved by Brown County Highway. So the applicant has resubmitted a revised proposal with access off of Spirit Way. The driveway itself is about 135 feet north of the intersection with West Main Avenue, just for reference. As you can see on the screen, the driveway access is bidirectional at the driveway, comes around, loops around the building for the drive-through here in the south side of the building, as well as an access to the parking area right here to the, on the south of the building. In terms of our code, there are some performance standards identified within the staff report. The proposal does meet those performance standards in terms of locations for a drive-through, so on and so forth. There's to be a refuse enclosure up here to the northwest part of the property, that you see right there. In terms of exterior materials, it's to be a combination of cement board, batten, shingle, and lap siding. Under Ashwaubenon code, of course, our lap siding is limited to no more than 25% of the surface area of any one elevation. And signage will be submitted separately for review and approval and permitting. In terms of recommended conditions of approval, again, lap siding is limited to no more than 25% of the surface area of any one elevation. Screen any rooftop or ground mounted mechanical units visible from the property boundaries or West Main Avenue Spirit Way rights-of-way. Conventional curb pan or mountable curbing is required for the proposed driveway and the new parking lot expansion areas. Submittal and approval of a lighting plan with cut sheet to ensure light spillage does not exceed 0.5 candle feet at property lines. Light sources shall be shielded or installed so there is not a direct line of sight between the light source or its reflection and a 0.5 feet or higher above the ground of adjacent property and public streets. And of course, the catch-all and meet all applicable requirements of the Ashwaubenon site plan review and all other applicable village ordinances. From engineering, relocate or deepen the shallow utilities as necessary within the Spirit Way right-of-way at developer's cost. There's a recommendation as well from engineering. No comment on stormwater management. Public safety, no comment. Forestry, required minimum planting size for trees is 2-inch caliper. Parking lots shall have a minimum of 1 internal landscaped island delineator, in addition to any required traffic safety island for each 21,780 square feet or fraction thereof of off-street parking space. Such island shall be a minimum 360 square feet and shall be bounded by concrete curbing. Also including opaque plantings, privacy fence or berm to shield the headlights turning and drive-through from residential property to the west. Also then see recommendations. And from Bike and Ped, include bicycle parking meeting the design standards of the Association of Pedestrian and Bicycle Professionals. Recommendations, again, these are best practice. These are not required under our code. They are noted by village staff as a concern or an issue to try to address as a developer. From engineering, recommending a traffic study on the Spirit Way West Main Avenue intersection be completed prior to final site plan approval. And from forestry, recommend substituting another species for the October Glory red maple. The species does not grow well in our alkaline soil. Suggestions include Accolade elm, Kentucky coffee tree, Japanese tree, lilac, State Street maple. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, we do have the development team in the audience as well.
I have one question in regards to, on the west side of that building, there's possibly a future building that's planned to go up in that area. That's gonna be included in a separate permit. That's nothing that's, or separate plans. That's nothing that's included in this at all right now?
That's correct. That would be a future site plan review and approval.
Okay.
So Aaron, I have a question. So the recommendation, which is not something is a condition of approval, but if engineering was concerned about doing a traffic study, this is the final site plan approval, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Did they do that traffic study?
No. And again, that is not something that we can require under our code. But it is something that we're recommending the developer do, just to basically confirm that there is no traffic issues with the proposal.
Okay.
What if there is traffic issues? What's the recourse?
Yeah, so my question would be, can we approve subject to the conclusions of the traffic study
So again,
with
under our
that condition?
we can approve with those conditions, but the recommendation is not something that we can specifically require, because it's not within our code. It's something that we require under our site plan. Basically, it's saying to the developer, hey, this is a concern that came up. We can't require it, but we certainly want to make sure, bring it to your attention, that this is a concern from the staff.
So what is the recourse if there is a problem with traffic after this is,
Ultimately, we'd have to work with the developer to figure out, how do we address it? Now, that is a county trunk highway and a well-used industrial park property. And so again, it's not just their issue. It might be a bigger issue than just their business.
okay?
So it's something we have to take a look at kind of more holistically and say, all right, how do we handle this? Joel, did you?
Yeah, I was just gonna add quickly that I think it's certainly reasonable for the site plan committee and then ultimately the village board, if this were an item that would get forwarded to the village board hypothetically, to, table action on this item. I don't think you would, at this point, if you have concerns about the traffic impact analysis, to outright deny the request for the site plan review, but I think you can certainly table the item to allow a further review of our existing code and what other requirements may be necessary to satisfy the concerns about traffic. I think if we had a little bit more time, we can give you a more firm answer as to what would be required or what type of agreement would be necessary to be in place to ensure that if the traffic impact analysis came back with a negative impact as a result of the egress points for the business, that we could work that out directly through with the developer.
So we could table this until we get more information.
Yeah, I think it would be prudent if the committee has concerns with it, that you can certainly table it. Again, I would not deny action. They have, if it's indicated in the staff report and the site plan review committee feels that it has met the requirements of code, you can certainly approve it. But if there are general concerns about safety and welfare and traffic impacts as a result of the business, I think a tabling of the item so that we can come back with more information from our code, and then also conversations with the developer, I think that, again, would be prudent. But I wouldn't outright deny it for the sake of the traffic impact analysis, because it is not a condition of approval within the code.
What does this traffic study consist of, time-wise and cost-wise? I mean, is it a big deal?
It really depends upon what the scope of it is. I can't say what a traffic study might.
Yeah, well, reading the recommendation, it's hard to tell just how engineering, quote, how concerned they were. I mean, is it really a concern of theirs, or is it just something that if we can do it, let's do it? I mean, I don't know how that would affect that intersection, but I assume there's traffic, so it'll affect it. But to what extent, I have no idea.
So I use that intersection a lot. Joe, has public safety said anything? Because there's got to be a lot of, I wouldn't call them accidents, but there's got to be a lot of conflicts there.
Anything that public safety does review the site plan applications as they come forward. So any comments that public safety has would be in that report that Aaron provides as part of the site plan. So to my knowledge, I don't know that, and Aaron can corroborate that, I don't know that there were any specific concerns that were addressed and itemized within the staff report.
I will say this, I think there is reason for concern about it just because of the main nature of those streets, both for steady traffic going on the county trunk, but also the truck traffic that goes through there off of Spirit and everything else. So I can see where it's a consideration, but this may not be the time. In fairness to this, I think you're right. As Aaron said, the traffic flow at that intersection will probably never go down, and it will eventually require different attention. But I don't know that this establishment is going to affect that. If you understand what I'm saying, I guess I think there's merit to the consideration for it, but I think that's more in the long term of everything, not necessarily tied just to the plans for this one establishment.
Do we have the county, here's my experience with it. There is trucks, a lot of trucks, UPS, the FedEx trucks, and then obviously Schneider uses that for storing trucks. The left-hand turn coming over that hill is dangerous. It really is. And those trucks are trying to pull out in front of traffic that's released out of a stoplight just on the other side of the hill. And I mean, I've seen a lot of bad things at that intersection. Is the county even looking at it? I mean, quite frankly, it's dangerous.
As far as what the county's plans are with that, I don't know.
Is there-
My understanding is that nothing was probably going to happen until if and when Spirit Way gets extended across.
Yeah, so that is plan though, to have that extended out.
That is
So
the,
it'll be a four-way.
there will be a four-way intersection likely at some point in the future, but it really depends upon what that property on the south side of West Main, what their plans are, because right now there is a proposal for a development south of that
Yeah.
with the future connection north to Spirit Way.
Question on that, Aaron. Is that particular proposal assuming a straight shot right through from Spirit Way as like a intersection?
Yes, there's, the identified, I guess they call it a planned future extension.
Okay, is there any thought to how that intersection might be dealt with or controlled down the road? What I'm getting at is maybe roundabout, and if so, is this included in the planning in any way?
So that would be a discussion with Brown County Highway and kind of see what their plans are long-term. Until we know if and when that street is going to connect, my guess is Brown County is probably not gonna look at it.
Okay.
So another question I got, Ryan, we're not approving signs here, but it looks like there's an awful lot of wall signs on here.
Yeah, we'll look at signage separately, when they submit their permitting for signs. They'll be limited to 2 wall signs unless they bring a third, request through, site plan.
Okay,
Well, I guess I'm thinking if a traffic analysis has in the past had value, and if there's an expectation that it will now have value, that kind of leads me to think that in the interest of what's best for the community, that we wait for the traffic study. But that's just one guy's opinion,
unfortunately, though, we can't require the traffic study,
right?
so. Okay, what's your druthers?
Well,
Anybody?
I'm gonna make a motion, we table this and let the village do some research on it, at least for 30 days.
Okay,
Yeah, and in fairness to the motion, I think we could have an answer before 30 days. Site plan meets twice a month, so our
So
next
by
meeting.
next site plan,
Yeah, we could have something prepared by the next site plan. So the delay is not quite 30 days, it would be 2 weeks.
which might actually be Wednesday in August, that first Wednesday. Is a
Correct.
national night
August
out,
6th, correct.
yeah. Okay, so Dan made a motion to table, do we have a second?
Yep, I'll second.
We have a second, so motion to table this item until the next site plan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The item is tabled till next site plan. Okay. Number 7, items for next agenda. Will we have items for next agenda?
Yes, we will.
I need a motion to adjourn, please.
motion to adjourn.
And a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.